morning to all. My name is Divya Paikrai, and before going to the lecture, I would like to introduce myself in brief. So, I've completed my BTech from National Institute of Science and Technology, Odisha, then completed my Masters from BIT Meshra, Ranchi, and now currently pursuing my PhD from NIT Jamshedpur. My research area is in the field of image processing using machine learning and its application in medical domain. I have published various research papers in national and international journals as well as conferences. So, now coming back to the lecture on Indian knowledge system, so I would like to share my screen for further discussion. Coming to module 7, that is Manuscriptology, an art of preserving knowledge. So, before going to know what are the benefits and what are the evolution of scripts in India, so firstly, we should know that what is manuscript. So, coming to the introduction part, that what is manuscript? The term manuscript is derived from the Latin word manu, that is hand, and scriptus, that is to write. That means something which is written by hand. The term manuscript in a broader area sense, which means any document written or incised by hand, such as documents or text written on materials like palm leaf, birch bark, paper, etc., or inscription on rocks, pillars, potteries, copper plates, etc. Manuscriptology is the scientific study of scripts, and it can be otherwise be called manuscript studies. It is the branch of learning concerned manuscript with the searching, collecting, cataloging, preserving, transcribing, reading, collating, editing, and publishing of manuscript. Though manuscriptology is a separate discipline, it has close affinity with many other subjects in the preparation of manuscript materials and in their preservation and conservation. It depends on sciences like chemistry, physics, biology, and even to information technology. As for writing and reading, it draws information from paleography. With regards to the collection of manuscripts, it requires field work similar to that of social sciences, but the techniques used for the same has similarity with those manuscriptology. And in the arrangement of manuscripts in the stack room and in their cataloging, manuscriptology is related to library science. In the reading and also in the editing of the text, knowledge of linguistic, literary, paleography, historical, and cultural aspects are highly essential, and thus it is related to subjects like linguistic, literature, sociology, history, etc. Proper editing is possible only through knowledge of the subjects dealt with in the text. Manuscriptology, who edits the text, needs mastery over the subjects concerned, or else he seeks the help of a subject expert. Thus, regarding the subjects dealt with and manuscripts, manuscriptology has connection to almost all branches of knowledge. In short, one cannot be manuscriptology as a discipline belonging to any one of the sciences or to its subjects like arts, fine arts, language, literature, etc. It is one of the very few branches of knowledge which has a wider relationship with a good number of disciplines. Now, coming to the next slide, that what is the significance of manuscriptology? So, manuscriptology provides authentic records for tracing the cultural, social, political, economic history of the people of a region or a country. Written records are the best source materials for linguists to study the history of a language. The sound changes in the grammatical structure, addition, loss, or change of forms for the lexical items at different period of the development of a language are reflected in inscription and manuscripts. It is to be borne in mind that further advancement to the existing knowledge is possible through some rare and hitherto unknown manuscripts. For example, such advancements are made in subjects like Ayurveda, architecture, astronomy, mathematics, etc. The changes over the years in customs, practices, and social attitudes of the people to great extent can be understood through the corpus provided by manuscripts. Even in this modern age, manuscripts provide information for the advancement of knowledge. For instance, hitherto known events in history may be revealed through the publication of manuscripts. For example, a Malayalam commentary on the Arthashastra of Kautilya was of great help to Dr. Radha Kumud Mukherjee for writing his book Chandragupta Maurya and his times. Similarly, an 8th century Buddhist work in which authenticate details of history for 14 centuries are given, which was helpful to K.P. Jaiswal in writing his book Imperial History of India. Many of the unread and unpublished manuscripts may be useful for filling up the existing gaps in the history or even for reviewing it. Similar is the case of for manuscripts on technical literature like Vedika, that is medicine, Jyotish, that is astronomy, Shilpa Shastra, that is architecture, and Rasayanashtra Shastra, that is chemistry. A good number of hitherto unknown scientific principles or even theories might be found in manuscripts, and the discovery of such manuscripts can be helpful for further scientific discoveries or to make necessary amendments to the existing theories. In a country like India, manuscriptology has a special significance when considering our hoary past and the invaluable contribution made by our forefathers in all the fields of knowledge. Manuscripts are one of the major sources for the present day Indians to have a realization of our own cultural heritage. Now, coming to manuscript studies in other languages. So before it, I would like to say about some history of writing in ancient India. Writing is one of the most important inventions ever made by human beings. The place and time of origin of writing are the matter of conjecture. As regarded the time of origin of writing, there have been no conclusive evidence. However, writing may be originated sometime in the 8000th century BCE. A wide variety of materials have been used by different mankind in its various parts of the world. For writing, stone of different kinds, metals like gold, silver, copper, lead, etc. Animal skins, bones, shell, leather, clay, wax, pottery, silk, cotton, wood plank, bamboo, ivory, bark, leaves, nylon, and paper were used. The type of material used for writing has influenced the form of script. The availability of material was the principal reason behind the use. The Chinese used bamboo and shells. The Mesopotamians used clay and Egyptians used papyrus. In India, the oldest evidence on writing are the Indus seal discovered at the Indus sites, and metals have been used in the period of the Indus Valley civilization. So the clear evidence for writing in ancient India is available as early as the 5th century BC. The manuscripts now available are not generally older than the about 600 years because of the fragile nature of the materials used for writing. Though many manuscripts of the early period are not to be identified, and the history of writing can be easily traced from numerous inscriptions and epigraphs. While almost all of them are dated, they are also available in the large number almost continuously throughout the period from 3rd century BCE to till date in various parts of the land from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. The earliest positive evidences available for a full-fledged script are the inscriptions of Ashoka, found all over the country. The inscriptions are found to be written in two scripts, in the main Brahmi, while those in Brahmi are distributed all over the country. Now, coming to manuscripts studied in other languages. So, the manuscript heritage of India is unique in its linguistic and spiritual diversity. The dearth of skill or expertise in scripts in contemporary researchers has, however, posed a threat to the study and understanding of the textual heritage. Indian manuscripts are found in a variety of languages and scripts: Nevari, Gauri, Tibetan, Kannada, Naksh, to name a few. But sadly, the number of people who can read such scripts is very few. Consequently, these are in danger of being extinct. Scripts is a particular system or style of writing. It can be comprehended as symbolic representation of sounds of a particular language. Since the time immemorial of India is one of the countries multifaceted in terms of language, scripts, and culture. There are hundreds of languages and dialects are spoken in different parts of the country even day. This perhaps has promoted Indian manuscripts to cover a wide range of themes. Now, coming to the next slide, that is evolution of scripts in India, that is Grantha, Brahmi, Batizut, Kolizut, Sardha. Script is a set of visual symbols representing language depending upon public convention. There is no inseparable relations between language and script. One script can be used for writing several languages and vice versa. The most ancient scripts of India are Brahmi and Karoshithi. Among these, Brahmi is considered as the mother of all the later scripts of India. In early Jain works like Samyaga Sutta, that is 300 BCE, the script is referred to be as Bambhi. Subsequently, it might have been named as Brahmi. The Piprava Vidusht vase inscription of the Basti district, Uttar Pradesh, and Badli inscription found from Ajmer district of Rajasthan. Both belong to the 5th century BCE, are the earliest inscriptions in Brahmi so far obtained. Brahmi had regional variation even at the time of Ashoka. The regional variation can be broadly classified into two major groups, that is, Southern Brahmi and Northern Brahmi. Talking about the Southern Brahmi, the Brahmi varieties found in the Deccan and the southern regions of India belong to this group. It has two major subdivisions, the Deccan variety and the Dravidi variety. The Deccan variety is also known as Andhra script. The period of its existence is considered as from 2nd century BCE to 1st century CE. It was prevalent in Deccan and in the major part of Andhra Pradesh. The cave inscription variety of Nanaghat, Nasik, and Pitakora belong to the Deccan variety. The scripts used of Satavahana and Pallavas are also of this type. The Dravidi script has two sub-varieties, the Kalinga variety, the northern Dravidi, and the Tamil cave Brahmi, that is the southern Dravidi. The Kalinga type was used in the Kalinga region. The cave inscription found in different parts of Tamil Nadu, the period of which ranges from 3rd century BC to 1st century CE, are of southern Dravidi. The inscriptions of Idakal in Wayanad district of Kerala are also of this type. Proto-Telugu, that is Kannada scripts, evolved from the Deccan and the early Kalinga scripts. The Telugu and the Kannada scripts originated from the Proto-Telugu Kannada script. Tamil script and Grantha script were the developments from the southern variety of the Dravidi. Vatezutu was the writing system of the Tamil language, and when Malayalam became a separate language, it was used also to write Malayalam. Kolizuzuttu and Malayalam were two regional varieties of Vatezutu found in Kerala. In addition to Vatezutu, Tamil script was also used in ancient times to write Tamil language. Both these two scripts might have coexisted, but Vatezutu appeared to be more ancient. The present day script is a development from the ancient Tamil script, but Vatezutu ceased to exist. Grantha script was used to write Sanskrit language in the entire Tamil Nadu and Kerala regions and also in the Tulanadu region of Karnataka. Modern Malayalam scripts is an adaptation of the Malabar variety of Grantha script, that is Arya. Tigagalari, a script once used in the Kasaragod district of Kerala and the adjacent Tulunadu region of Karnataka, can also be considered as a development from the Grantha script since it evolved out of Malayalam. Grantha and Kannada scripts, the genesis of many of the writing systems of Southeast Asia. Countries like Sri Lanka, Maldives, Myanmar, Cambodia, Siam, and Indonesia is the Grantha script. Now coming to Northern Brahmi. The spread of Northern Brahmi was quite extensive, comprising the whole Indian subcontinent north of Deccan. The Brahmi script underwent further from the period of Ashoka to the period of later Mauryas and then again to the Gupta period. The writing system, newer Indian Aryan languages are the development from the Brahmi characters used during the Gupta period. The Brahmi of the Gupta period is very often referred to as Gupta characters. In the addition to the Central Asian scripts like Agnian, Kuchian, and Khotisnese, the Indian language scripts like Sharada, Nakri, Landa, and Gurumukhi originated from the Western variety of Gupta's character. Tibetan is related to both Khotanese and Siddhamantraka. Similarly, Gurumukhi has affinity not only with the Landa but also the Devanagari. The eastern variety of Gupta character had two subdivisions, the western and the eastern. The western subdivision varied developed variety into Siddhamatkara. Both Kaithi and Kutlipalli are developments from Siddhamatika. Bihari scripts used by Kayastha community and the Bhojpuri characters originated from Kaithi. The origin of Nagari scripts was from Kutlilapalli. The Nagari scripts are classified into Eastern Purva Nigari, Western Andhra Nagari, Central Devanagari, and Southern Nandi Nagari. Yet another broad classification divides Nagari scripts into Northern and Southern. In the classification of Northern variety is Devanagari and the Southern variety is Nandi Nagari, Rajasthani, Mahajani, and Gujarati are related to the Devanagari. Modi, the script of Marathi language, has close affinity with both Nandi Nagari and Devanagari. Nandi Nagari, the southern variety of Nagari, was in existence in Mysore and its adjacent regions. Neari, that is Nepali, and Old Bengali scripts originated from Proto-Bengali, which in turn was a development of the Eastern Gupta characters. Assamese, Oriya, Maithili, Manipuri, and modern Bengali scripts are developed from the Old Bengali characters. The script of Shostrian language, the language spoken by the Shostrian community found in Madurai, Virudhunagar and Salim regions of Tamil Nadu, is also an offshoot of Northern Brahmi. According to the written evidence of the deciphered Indian scripts, Brahmi comes first, having the earliest inscriptions found in India. The date of early Brahmi inscriptions go back to the 5th century BCE. Kharosthi inscriptions come next in the antiquity, having inscriptions from 3rd century BCE. The language of early inscriptions was Prakrit. Among the modern Indian language, Tamil has the earliest inscriptions, the script used being Tamil Kravi. Now, the inscriptions in early Telugu Kannada scripts are obtained from 5th century onwards. Inscriptions in newer Indian Aryan language scripts are obtained from 10th century onwards. So, we will be discussing for all the languages from this slide. Now, coming to the first, that is Brahmi. Brahmi is considered to be one of the most ancient scripts used in the subcontinent of India. The earliest surviving records of the use of Brahmi scripts are found in the form of inscriptions of Ashoka, that is 269 BC to 232 BC. He had his messages to his subjects written on rocks and pillars at various places in his empire. His inscriptions on the trade routes and at important Buddhist places have provided us with evidence of completely evolved alphabetically writing system in ancient India. Over a period of time, with the regional preferences and specialities, the script changed its form and developed into almost all modern Indian scripts. Next, we have Tamil. The earlier Tamil inscriptions were written in Brahmi, Grantha, and Vatsizu scripts inscriptions after the 17th century. C contains Tamil characters similar to the now one in vogue. This promoted some scholars to argue that Vattizutu and Tamil scripts originated from Brahmi scripts. This view has no solid base, for one can see a copious description of Tamil scripts in Tolkappiyam, which belongs to the 3rd century BCE. It is obvious, therefore, that Tamil language had a distinct script of its own even at early period. Now, coming to next, that is Kannada. One of the early scripts of South India evidenced from about 450 CE in Karnataka, compared to Grantha, Nandanagari and Telugu. Sanskrit manuscripts in Kannada scripts are small in number. Next, coming to Grantha. This script was prevalent in the Tamil Nadu area from about 7th century CE, but manuscripts date from the end of 16th century. It has two varieties. Number one, the square hand found around Tanjore, and number two, the round hand of mostly Jain around Arcot and Madras. Grantha ran parallel to Tamil and was upset in writing Sanskrit only, hence the name. The term appears in the 14th century. Next we have Sharada. Sharada, originally Sharada, appears in about 8th century CE. The earliest manuscript in this script current in Jammu and Kashmir and northeastern Punjab dates from 11th to 12th century. Next, we have Devanagari. This script developed fully by the 10th and 11th century CE and manuscripts also date from the same period. The origin of the Nagari Lipi is variously interpreted. Some argue that it is related to the Nagalipi of the Lalita Vistara. It is shown that in Tibetan it is called Kleung Yeg, the script of the Nagas. Others relate it with the Nagaras, the Gujarat Brahmins. The third and the simpler explanation of the term as writing used in cities. Town script seems more plausible. The word Nagara and the Nagarika may be compared with this. On this basis, the meaning of Nagari could be extended to mean cultured or sophisticated. Another point worthy of note here is that palm leaf manuscripts in Devanagari are very rare, maybe 1 in 10,000. Next, we have Nepali or Nevari. The script exists in Nepal and adjoining areas. Manuscripts are available from 12th century. A manuscript dated 1063 CE, deposited in Bodleian Library, Oxford, is said to be the oldest. Next, coming to the next slide, we have Tigalari. This script, employed mostly in the coastal Karnataka, Karwar to Kasargod, is a mixed one. It contains the elements of Malayalam, Grantha, and Kannada in order of dominance. This is a large number of manuscripts, mostly in private possession. Only a fraction has been acquired by the modern libraries. Because this is found in manuscripts only, it has not come to the notice of paleographers who speak of it as Tulu or Tuju Malayalam, that is Western Grantha. It is evidence since 12th century. Next we have Modi. This is the running hand of Balabuddha. The Devanagari of Maharashtra, a survival of southern Nagari. The documents available since 13th century are all non-rotary private correspondence and official records. Next we have Nandinagari. The Nagari in South India developed into what is called Nandini Nagari. Why the script was called Nandi is only a matter of conjecture. This is evident since the Yadava Hoysala period, that is 13th century, and the frequency of its use grew during the Vijayanagara period. This script must have developed as a pen style or stylus style script and not as a chisel style one. The absence of the horizontal top line is suitable to write on the palm leaves. Otherwise, there was the possibility of the leaf splitting due to the line. Next, we have Telugu. This is the script employed in the Andhra Pradesh area. It is not easy to identify Telugu from Kannada in early palm leaves, but it is Telugu by and large. This attitude may be seen in many of the Sanskrit texts printed in the Karnataka in the last century and early part of the present. They are in Telugu script. Actually, Kannada and Telugu branch off only around 14th century, till which time they were one. Next we have Maithili. Eastern Bihar and western West Bengal form the location of the script. The Tiruhuti variety was used for writing books. There was also a running hand Kaithi used for non-literary purposes. The documents date from 15th century. Next, we have Malayalam. Malayalam started to develop as a separate language from the 13th century onwards. It is the major language of Kerala and Lakshadweep. While Vatezutu script was the script used for Malayalam from 9th century onwards, the modern script of Malayalam language evolved from the Grantha script, which came into existence by the 16th century. Malayalam, one among the Dravidian languages, most likely originated as a split from Tamil languages in even more ancient times and became an independent language by AD 9th century. Next, we have Oriya. The Oriya script is used for writing the Oriya language, the official language of the Indian state of Odisha, as well as the number of Dravidian and Munda minority languages spoken in that region. It is also used in Orissa for transcribing Sanskrit text. The earliest inscription in the Odia language have been dated to 1051 AD, written in the Kalinga script from which modern Odia writing is derived. This script, current in Orissa, has two varieties in accordance with its use. That which was used to write on palm leaf manuscripts, Brahmani, and Karani, that which was used for non-literary purposes by Karans. Next, we have Bengali. This script is currently in Bengal, both west and east. It is fully developed by 15th century. Assamese is a variety of Bengali, and Oriya and Maithili was related to it. Next, we will move to the next slide, that is importance of preservation of manuscripts. So, preservation of manuscripts is technical topic for which a scientific background is necessary. It forms part of the broad branch of conservation science in general and the science of conservation of old documents in particular. Mere knowledge of manuscripts is not enough for the proper preservation of them. The problems connected with the preservation of manuscripts are varied. It is not possible here to go into all the details of the problem of preservation of the manuscripts. In fact, preservation of manuscripts can be properly carried out only after obtaining on-the-job training. Preservation is a general term used, but it includes conservation, reconstruction, restoration, and preventive conservation. Preservation of manuscripts has two main aspects. That is, number one is the proper storage of manuscript and the other is the use of preservation agents. In both cases, the material used for writing the manuscripts and also the polluting agents play the major role. Paper and palm leaf, the chief materials for writing books, get destroyed in course of time. The durability depends on the quality of the material and care one takes about them. Thus, the care of manuscripts presupposes knowledge of the conditions for destruction. They are, generally speaking, time, fire, water, heat, dust, humidity, atmosphere, gases, fungi, agents, ants, rats, and last but not the least, human beings. Now, what are the causes of destruction of manuscripts? The causes of destruction of modern printed books applies to manuscripts as well. The manuscripts, however, require more attention than the printed books because of the nature of the material. Also, each manuscript is unique and can never be replaced. Hence, each manuscript has to be given individual attention. The manuscripts are to be protected from the adverse effect of environment, climate condition, pests, and the human beings. Water, fire, and wicked men are the primary enemies of the books, observes the 10th century critic. The couplet using written at the end of manuscript says that the manuscript is hogged, one to protect in the many regional climatic conditions, pests, and the human beings. A wicked person, a murkh, has no respect for the books, may not be safe in such hands. The book in our tradition is regarded as an object of worship that eloquently speaks for having care in handling manuscripts. It is too well known to repeat here that books are susceptible to fire. Water, if it wets, is dangerous, are also oil which causes the growth of fungus. If the binding is loose, the leaves are liable for damage. The palm leaf bundles are also to be bound tightly, otherwise the edge of the leaves get damaged. Now, it may have many things, that is climate conditions. For climate conditions, the manuscripts are affected by the variation in the level of humidity. If it is low, the leaves become brittle. High humidity helps the growth of mold. Low humidity with heat is the greatest enemy of palm leaf manuscripts. Palm leaf is found to be 4 times as strong as wood or handmade paper. It loses its strength due to age and many things. Next, for the point of view of permanence, palm leaf is an excellent material for records, but for the fact that its resistance to wear and tear is very poor. Environment. So, talking about environment, in environment, air is hazardous as carrier of dust and chemical gases. Chemical gases are not easy to detect and have an adverse effect on ink and modern paper. Dust, though minute, poses a threat to books by providing breeding resort to worms and insects. For example, fungus. Fungus or mildew or mold are particularly found in air. While they settle on damp wood, paper, etc., they grow horizontally on the surface of the material and disfigure. If fungus should occur between leaves, they stick together and they cannot be separated ordinarily without damaging the leaf. Next, we have insects. There are more than 1 million varieties of insect noticed by biologists. Only a few of them are harmful to books. For example, silverfish. The insect is so called because its form resembles that of a fish, tapering backwards and is silver gray in color. It bores holes in the books and it fond of starch used to smoothen the writing surface, gum and gelatin. Silverfish shuns light and its activity increases in darkness. Cockroach. Cockroach, though this name applies to a group of insects, it usually refers to one species, the black beetle. Some 3 varieties are found in libraries throughout the world, especially those in hot climate. It is wonderful creature in that it can squeeze itself in a very small crevice. While it can eat anything. It can live without food for days together. It also disfigures books by its black extreme. Cockroaches are active in darkness. Next, we have bookworm. Though any worm in the book may be called bookworm, it is more usually applied to the larvae of the beetle of many varieties. The beetle lays eggs on the edges of the books. The larva moves into the book or palm leaf bundle, boring horizontally and vertically. Lictus brunus is another species which destroy books. It is called guna in India. Next, we have termites. Termites are usually called white ants. The color of termites is pale yellow or dark brown. Termites are small in size and their body is soft. Still, they are voracious eater of cellulose. However, they are selective feeders. Thus, the damage inflicted by these insects need not to be due to their eating. It may be due to the holes bored through them or due to corrosion because of moisture or bodily secretions. Next, we have wasps. Wasps do not feed on book. One variety bores holes in wood to build its nest. The other variety called mud wasps. Next, we have book lice. These are minute insects of the order and that attack book. They are also called sotsites. Next, we have rats. Rats. It is well known that rats attack manuscripts and books and reduce them to pieces. They can easily bore holes in brick walls and wooden cabinets. Next, we have man-made problems. So, the man-made problems, the damages caused due to the improper storing and careless handling are purely of man-made in nature. The manuscripts are not to be dumped as a pile. Suitable storing places are to be selected. Each codex to be extend needed is to be tightly tied. More loosing or more tightening is injurious to manuscript materials. Now, what are the different preservation techniques? In India, there are existed effective traditional methods for preserving manuscripts. Since the climatic conditions show regional variations, the traditional methods for preservation also exhibits corresponding variation and the method adopted in another region. Though these methods are now neglected. Such methods are best suited since they are evolving according to the weather conditions of the concerned regions. Also, the materials used for preservation are easily available locally. If the floor and the walls are neatly cemented plastered, there is no fear from termites. If the library is housed in an old building, one has to be constantly vigilant to check every nook and corner periodically. To fight termites, the almirahs may be kept at least 15 centimeters away from the ground. Wall and roof. Not only is this measure precautionary against termites, but also adds to general cleanliness of the library and allows free air circulation. In case of ink eating away the paper, the manuscripts might be immersed in slightly alkaline solution to reduce the acid contents of the dried ink. The method utilized for the preservation of manuscripts can be classified into two, that are traditional methods and modern methods. So, talking about the traditional methods, the traditional way of keeping manuscripts is in wooden or in cane boxes or in wooden almaris. The folios of the manuscripts are bound tightly before keeping them in the box so as to protect them from easy access to insects and worms. The codices are tied properly with upper and bottom wooden plates, pieces of wooden planks. These wooden plates are in the size of the manuscripts. These protecting wooden plates are generally made out of the thick wood, jack wood, or neem wood. In some rare instances, they are made out of ivory. The wooden boxes in which the manuscripts are to be kept are generally out of teak wood, since teak wood is not easily susceptible to termites and is more durable. These boxes have four stands so that the bottom of the box does not touch the floor. Around the stand, turmeric powder is sprinkled. In certain cases, each manuscript is kept in separate boxes, specially designed for the same. It is also seen that the manuscripts are protected from the dust by covering it with a silk cloth and kept in boxes. In some places, each manuscript's bundle is wrapped up in colored cloth, usually red or blue. These color cloth having flaps which of the can be tied together are made according to the size of the manuscripts. The red or blue colored cloths are used since they are supposed to be not attractive to insects. The dried neem leaves are spread inside at the bottom of the boxes in which manuscripts are kept. Also, black pepper and camphor are stewed inside the box. The black pepper is considered to be an efficient material for absorbing moisture, and camphor is useful for protecting the manuscripts from fungi and insects. Though not very common, instead of black pepper, black cumin is found to be used. Similarly, dry tobacco leaves are also used by some. Black cumin and dried tobacco leaves are not allowed to have direct contact with the manuscripts, and hence they are placed in small cloth bag. called kizzy in the Malayalam, and they are placed inside the box. In some cases, with regard to the manuscripts in the private custody, it is noticed that the boxes containing manuscripts are kept in Thantipuram, usually near to the kitchen portion. The palm leaf manuscripts are taken out and from the boxes occasionally. The boxes will be cleaned and placed in the sunlight for a few hours. After removing the dust particles by rubbing the leaves with a piece of nice cloth or by brushing, each folio is oiled with lemongrass oil. Now coming to the next, that is modern methods. Naphthalene balls or camphor may be kept with the paper manuscripts as it works against the silverfish. Use of mercury chloride is an old method. The chemical is not only very poisonous but also persistent. 5% solution of this is effective against American cockroach. A less poisonous insecticides is ammonium thiocyanate or potassium thiocyanate, but one should take care to avoid iron. Against small manuscripts, inner leaves of tissue paper integrated with thymol and an insecticide are recommended. Air conditioning, deep freezing, moisture absorbance, photocopying, microfilming, digital archiving, and fumigation. So, coming to air conditioning, maintaining constant temperature prolong the period of longevity of manuscripts. In India, where extreme climate conditions exist, air conditioning of the library is highly essential. To a great extent, it helps to reduce the problem of dust. The air conditioned room are not congenial for the survival of many of the worms and insects. However, attention is required to have the air conditioning throughout the day. Switching off the air conditioner for hours together will adversely affect the manuscripts. Next, we have deep freezing. When the temperature is at freezing point or below, the insects and worms cannot survive. Hence, documents can be preserved can be kept at freezing point. Since insecticides are not used in this method, it is not toxic. For deep freezing, a special designed deep freezer is used. The books or manuscripts are placed inside the polythene bags and are tightly sealed. These loaded bags are placed on a trolley fitted inside the freezer. After closing the lid, the deep freezer is switched on. The loaded bags are kept inside the chamber for about 3 days. Then the bags are taken out from the freezer and kept them in the open air for a few hours to remove the dews, if any, on the outer surface of the polythene bags. Then the manuscripts are taken out of the bags and are placed in the original storing place. Next, we have moisture absorbents to protect the manuscripts from getting wet due to moisture. Different types of moisture absorbents are found to be used. The chief among them are the silica gel, anhydrous calcium chloride, and charcoal. Among the moisture absorbents, silica gel is the most efficient and is considered to be the safe. For reducing the humidity in the non-air conditioned manuscript libraries, the use of moisture absorbents is very suitable. Now next we have photocopying. So whatever may be the care one takes, it may not be possible for one to preserve the manuscripts forever. Hence, preservation of the contents becomes essential. Photocopying is used for preserving the contents of manuscripts. Having copies is also a preservation techniques in the sense that for reference and studies, these photocopies can be utilized, and thus the original manuscripts are kept untouched. This helps in the safe protection of the original manuscripts. Next, we have microfilming. With the help of microfilm camera, manuscripts can be microfilmed, and when needed, they can be read through a microfilm reader. By using microfilm, frequent handling of the original manuscripts can be avoided. However, it may be noted that in the case of both photocopying and microfilming, the heat emitted is injurious to the manuscript material. Next, we have digital archiving. So, in this, the writing lines of the manuscripts as such can be transferred to CD-ROMs, and whenever necessary, they can be read either from the computer screen or from the print out. For this purpose, computers with scanning facility are used. Both palm leaf and paper manuscripts can be directly scanned with the help of scanner. Fumigation. So the manuscripts infested by mildew and insects may be subjected to fumigation in a specially prepared chamber. A fumigation chamber is an airtight almirah with self made of wire mesh and with glass doors. If the total height is about 180 centimeter, 4 to 5 shelves may be arranged at about 30 centimeters intervals, leaving more space below. In the middle of the lower cover plank, a round of 7.5 centimeter diameters hole may be cut and a stainless steel plate fixed there. The infested manuscripts are to be spread on the shelves. A glass plate containing the chemicals thymol, that is 100 to 150 grams per 1 cubic meter, is kept on the steel plate. Under the steel plate, pass through the manuscripts above the insects and are destroyed. The manuscripts are to be left in the chamber for 2 days. Use of chemicals may be smudged, carbon inks, proper precautions are necessary before the subjecting the manuscripts of fumigation. Naphthalene can be used as a fumigant. It is cheap and readily available insect repellent. In the Oriental Research Institute, Mysore, a special kind of oil and Ayurvedic preparation is being employed since about 40 years to keep the palm leaf in good conditions. The sesame, that is till oil, is treated with the herbal juice and other insecticide ingredients. The oil, which smeared thinly and evenly on the palm leaf both sides with a brush, not only cleans the dirt off the palm leaf, making the letters legible, but also keeps the insects away from the leaf that is made pliable. Now, coming to the next slide, that is repair of manuscripts. The manuscripts tend to be damaged. However, one may be very careful due to frequent handling for study and research. Therefore, periodically, repair of manuscripts must be one of the items of preservation. The torn pieces are to be carefully glued. Paper manuscripts in the book form are to be checked towards mending injured bindings. Physical care of manuscripts is to be taken over and priority. Each manuscript has to be given individual attention. Worm-eaten sheets or leaves may also be given tissue paper support. Broken leaves or torn sheets or gaps may be filled with blank leaves or handmade paper sheets cut to the required size. This ensures uniformity of size of sheets, arrests any further mutilation. Manuscripts drenched in water should be dried under a fan. The leaves are to be carefully separated and spread for drying. They should be not be exposed to sun or dried in an electric heater. Lamination. So lamination is the process of enclosing each leaf or sheet in cellulose, acetate or polythene foil. Some use chiffon also for the purpose. There are now automatic machines that do the work. Paintings and unique manuscripts are to be laminated so that they do not deteriorate due to pest or climate aberration. However, the expert says that lamination has its own limitation, both in the traditional method and also in the modern method. The importance of the care of manuscript is well recognized. The techniques adopted for it are also almost the same. Once The causes of destruction of manuscripts are known. It is easy to look after them. Darkness is to be avoided where manuscripts are stored. The place must have sufficient light, but direct sunlight should not fall on the manuscripts. When artificial light is necessary, it must not produce heat. Shelves are to be arranged in such a way that there is a free movement of air. Precautionary measures against fire, like installation of fire fighting gadgets, extinguishers, smoke alarm, etc., need to be undertaken. Mention may be made here that tests have shown that the Indian paint is fire resistant. Dust must be controlled. The manuscripts as well as shelves are to be cleaned regularly and frequently by the use of duster cloth. The dust is to be wiped and not made to spread. The red cloth of manuscripts bundles are to be cleaned regularly. The floor of the stock room is also to be wiped frequently with a wet cloth. With regard to a palm leaf manuscripts, arrangements must be made to see that every bundle is cleaned, leaf by leaf, at least once in 6 months. Each leaf is to be wiped on both sides with a cloth. While wiping the leaf, it must be remembered the hand should not return on the leaf, for that may it break. The hand should move from center onwards. The manuscript paper or palm leaf may be cleaned mechanically by using vacuum cleaners. The insects, if any will, to have revealed itself through this process. Now, coming to the next slide, that is tools and writing materials for manuscripts. The introduction of history of writing and writing materials are already mentioned in the first unit. Hence, the writing tools, the instruments used for writing are termed as writing tools. They are also known as writing instruments or writing aids. Stylus, reeds, spine of porcupine, strong quills of birds, and suitable trunks of plant were used for writing manuscripts. At a later stage, pen was also introduced especially to write on paper. We can distinguish the instruments into three types. Number one, those with hard and sharp tips to incise. Second, those with a soft and smooth tips to write. And third, brush or such material to paint. The term likhani, however, stands for any writing instruments and is as old as Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Even so, the verb likhati refers to scratching, engraving, writing, and includes painting too. The stylus for incising on palm leaves is called kantaka, loha kantaka, or salaka. It is rod made of iron about 10 to 30 centimeter in length and with the thickness of a pencil. It tapers to one end and has a sharp tip. The other end is made flat and sometimes decorated with jingles. The stylus was made of gold, silver, copper, or brass and was plain or ornamented. It was tipped with a steel point which was sharpened from time to time on an oil stone. The point was of four varieties beside the fire point, and the length of the style was varied. The choice depended on the type of one hand, 10 to 20 lines per page. The 4 points were chatra, that is sunshade, patra, that is leaf, nala, that is tube, and ganda, that is ball. Second one, the quill or porcupine or bamboo twig or ladada kadi, a kind of reed, thin bamboo, is used as pen to write on birch bark. It is also called kunka or vertica. The rich house holders in Bengal employ the khakra reed that northwest provinces the reed or kalam is generally used. The third one is kunsika or tuli or tulika or dusika or varti is a brush. Brushes are made of reeds, woods, irons, and fibers and hairs. Varnka or varnika is a small color stick, usually white, a pencil to draw letters on a board. Subandhu, Harishena, and Sriharsha employ a term khatini in the sense of chalk. Manashila, naturally available soft stones like the pot stone for writing. Now, other instruments and material. So, other instruments and materials means instruments like ruler or compasses or bow, pen are used to draw lines and circles while writing patterns and designs. For drawing parallel lines on paper and birch bark, a board is fixed with string horizontally or at equal distances. Paper to be ruled is placed over it and rubbed with a piece of cotton. Now, writing material in ancient India. So, our ancestors record some of the important events in their lives through pictures. We got these pictures from the caves like Ajanta, Ellora, and Idakal. With the help of sharpened material, they have drawn pictures on the rock inside the caves. Later, they have many things to be done. From the period, people used type of material for writing: palm leaf, bhurjapatra, kumbhika bark, agruvatak, leather, cloth, tulapat rock material, and paper are popular writing material used in India for preserving the knowledge. So, before going to textual criticism, I would like to say about some material used in India for preserving the knowledge. Palm leaf. Palm leaf were one of the main and most popular writing materials in all South Asian countries, including India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Myanmar, and Indonesia. Three species of palm tree are grown in India, and the botanical names are Gujarat and Rajasthan, next coastal areas of South India, Corypha pallida, next South India, Borassus flabrifera. Traditionally, two kinds of palm leaves are used for writing. They are Palmyara palm leaves and next is fan palm leaves. Talapatra or Kharatala and Tali or Shritala in Sanskrit is known as Talipani in Tamil, where as in Malayalam they are referred to as Karimpana and Tetiliopana. The leaves of Pamela palm leaves and are thicker and their surface is rougher and hence they can be used only for writing with stylus. Next we have Bhurjapatra. Bhurjapatra or Bhojapatra, that is birch bark, was one of the most popular writing material used in North India. There are four varieties of Bhojapatra available: yellow birch, that mostly grown in England and Georgia; black birch, North America; white birch, northeast Canada; Himalayan silver birch in Himalaya. The inner bark of this tree was used for writing in Himalayan regions, especially in the region of Kashmir. The inner bark consists of several thin layers. These layers are carefully separated. Each layer is thin as manifold paper. The sheets are white or pinky white outside and reddish inside. The bark is slowly dries and applied all on the surface. Then polishing is done by rubbing with the polishing stone to make it smooth. Next we have Kumbhabhuki bark. Kumbhabhuki bark, the bark of Kumbhi or Kumbhika tree is called as Kumbhi bark, a writing material used in ancient India. Kumbhika tree grow abundantly in the jungles of Orissa, so the popular use of Kumbhika is in the region of Orissa. Agruvak. The agru or the aguru or aloe tree is a tall fragrant tree usually grown in the hilly areas, especially in the area of Assam. In Assam, it is known as Sanishi. Many manuscripts in Sanshipat have been discovered in Assam and preserved in Guwahati University Library. Agaro bark, which consists of cellulose and lignin. It absorbs ink. Sheets are dried for many days before curing, seasoning, and polishing. This is followed by treatment with the orpiment to make them immune from insects and rubbing them with a conch shell to make it smooth. Next, we have cloth. For writing purposes, a special type of cloth, cotton cloths, were often used in India. Some Jain scriptures were found to be written in silk cloth. A type of cloth known as kadita was also used for writing manuscripts in the Mysore region. The complete work is not copied in or writes or cloth because it is not durable. It easily gets infected. Next is falaka. Falaka wooden planks are also in use for writing documents. It has been used for temporary writing for special purposes. As such as falacum has attained the meaning of signboard and even name board. Metals. Copper, gold, silver are the most popular metals used for writing. The copper plate is called timpatta or tamrapatika. Next, we have tulapat. Tulapat is a type of paper made out of cotton. It was found to be used in Assam from the beginning of the 19th century. In some other regions, a paper-like writing material was made out of the cloth. Next, we have stone. Stone and rock were also freely used to record royal deeds, especially exploit and grants. The earliest known stone and rock edicts are those of Ashoka found in different places of the country. The cave temples and rock temples of various locations have imperishable records on rock. Next, we have paper. Paper was invented by Ceylon in China in 105 CE and it was introduced to India by Mughal rulers from Persia. Most of the official documents began to written on paper at that period. The use of paper in the royal courts and its easy availability since due to the import and also due to its better convenience for writing, paper became very popular for all over India and ultimately replaced other writing materials when printing was introduced. Next, we have the next topic, that is textual criticism. So, textual criticism, considering the history of textual criticism, the contribution from the Greek, Roman, and Hebrew are highly significant. Collection of the old manuscripts was carried out in Athens, 600 BC to 300 BC, and Alexandria, that is 300 BCE to 1 CE. Likewise, the same work was done in Rome, that is 168 BC to 530 CE. Collection and study of the old manuscripts were being done chiefly in the areas belong to up to 1530 CE. The Hebrew Bible was translated into Greek during the reign of Ptolemy. 70 scholars were in translation committee. This translation took variants in course of time. A scholar, namely Origen, that is 186 to 253 CE, dweller in Alexandria, edited it. After 1 or 2 centuries, Manuscriptology assumed dignity once again when Immanuel Baker edited 60 works with the help of 400 manuscripts. After carefully studying the problems in editing manuscripts on the lines of European manuscriptology, BP shaped textual criticism that can be applied to Indian manuscript. The most popular important scholarly aspects of manuscriptology is textual criticism and edition of the manuscripts for publication. The process of textual criticism has 4 stages, which are called number 1, heuristic, number 2, restoration, number 3, emendation, and number 3 is higher criticism. Since the last one is the higher criticism, all the other 3 are together considered lower criticism also. As such, textual criticism is often divided into 2 major parts, lower criticism and higher criticism. So, as discussed, in lower criticism, we have 3 stages, that is heuristic, recensio, and emendation. So, talking about heuristic, the text is arrived at the details of the beginning and end of copies of works which may bear similar titles are to be compared. For this, the descriptive catalogues are to be consulted. The originals of all the copies available are to be collected. Then, each copy of the work is to be studied thoroughly from the point of view of orthographic peculiarities and scribal stylistics. Thus, the trustworthiness of the codices can be determined. After the study of individual copies, the evidence provided by all the extant copies are to be considered together for constituting the text. The text traditions in respect to every single letters is to be observed and studied. This encourages the editor to discover the original or near original readings for himself. Not only the evidence found in the extant codices, but also that in the commentaries, anthologies, and allied works is to be taken into consideration. Variants have to be compared for agreement and disagreement. In other words, they are to be collated. For the purposes of collation, the readings are to be recorded methodologically. The scripts which appears more trustworthy than the others is to be taken as the basis, and the readings of the copy should be collated with the readings of the others. Next is siglum. To identify the reading as a particular codex, the several codices consulted are to be given an identification mark. It is called siglum. A very simple mode would be the name of codices that A, B, C, etc. are or use Indian alphabets KA, KAH, KHA, GA, GHA, etc. But an intelligent way would be to use a symbol by which the codices are better identified. The codex may be named after a script. For example, D, that is Devanagari, G, that is Grantha, O, that is Uriya, etc. But an intelligent way would be to use a symbol by the codices are better identified. The codex may be named after its script. For example, D Devanagari. Collation. When there are three codices to work on, the following methods may be adopted. The text as in one of the codex, selected as the better than either of the two, is copied on sheets of paper. Sufficient margin is left on either sides of the page, or the lines may have sufficient space in between. This copy is compared with the other two manuscripts, word by word. Whatever divergence discovered is recorded on the nearest margin or in the space above the concerned part. The siglum must be recorded with each such entry without fail, or the variants of each of the codices may be entered in one colored ink each. Not only simple variations that are to be recorded, but other related evidences like erasers, interliner, addition in the margin, blank spaces, etc., also to be duly noted. Some examples, some convenient abbreviation may be formulated. For example, for worm eaten, that is W, M for multilated, B for blank space, A for addition in the text part, AM for addition in the margin, R for right, L for left, or B for bottom, CR for the corrected to text part, CRM for corrected to in the margin, NF for not found, C for commentary. This method holds good where the number of codices to be collated in is 2 or 3. If the readings are too many, this can be adapted to collate more than 3 manuscripts also. A different method will have to be adopted if the codices are too many and the readings are too specially expected to vary. The collation has to be done on specially prepared sheets called collation sheets. Lines are drawn horizontally and vertically so that some squares are formed. The squares are to be as wide as to write a single letter. As in the earlier case, a comparatively better or more trustworthy codex of those under consideration is selected and its text is written in the first row of squares, one letter in each square. Length of the text may be conveniently divided. If the text is versified, 2 padas of Anustup meter, that is 16 letters, or 1 pada of a big meter, up to say 22 letters of text in prose. One length of line depends upon one practice convenience. On the left side and against a row, the siglum of the codex is entered. Some space may be left on the right side of the recording any relevant information. In recording the evidence from the sources, it is not necessary to fill all the squares but only those which are different from that on the top line. In other words, a blank square in a row means that the letter in a particular source is identical with the one in the top line. Collating the evidence of the manuscripts in this way makes it possible to arrive at fixing the mutual relationship of the codices consulted. The relationship between 2 codices can be in 2 ways. They may either be exemplar or and copy or sister copies, that is, copy of one and the other exemplar. This helps in tracing the genealogical of the codices of a work. Such a chart wherein we can show the relation of the codices of a work is called stemma codicum, tree of codices. Chalking out the pedigree of codices aid in determining the possible earlier reading. Now, the secondary source of evidence. Earlier, we have talked about the primary sources of evidence. So, the secondary source of evidence, the evidence of manuscripts, are the primary ones for fixing the reading of a text. The manuscripts of a text may also be called the direct evidence. Apart from this, the source, a commentary on a text or its translation, will also provide the basis of a critical appraisal of the text. Such of the works as basis for a critical appraisal, such as the works as forming source of evidence, are called the testimonia, sing testimonia. It is also referred to as external or indirect evidence. This includes not only those works which are directly and closely related to the text on hand, but are many sorts of secondary evidence. Commentaries, translations, anthologies, quotations, obvious, imitation, and epitomes and adaptations and parallel versions are considered as secondary sources. Recension. So, talking about the recension, the first stage is thus the mathematical collections and analysis of all the evidence in respect of the reading of the text concerned, and their study will with a review to form a pedigree of codices. This paves the way for the next stage. The second stage, the recensio, calls for the critical acumen of the editor. The editor has now before him a table of various readings. The editor has now before him a table of various readings and other information gathered from the codices as well as the evidence pooled from the testimonia. It has also been possible to know the mutual relation of the codices. The problem now is to choose From among the variants, a reading which might have many among the variants a reading which might have intended by the author or the nearest one and formulate a recension. The editor will have to interpret and weigh the evidence presented. He has to be careful and open-minded. Just because a codex is late or a codex is full of obvious mistakes, the codex cannot be brushed aside or disgraded, for that may give a hint to, if not a chance preservation of, the acceptable reading against the doubtful reading of the oldest or best codex. The method may appear eclectic, that is, choosing one here and another here, but it is not so because the choice does not depend on the whim or fancy of the editor. On the other hand, the choice is guided by certain principles. Every reading is decided after a debate over its aptness. This is why the recension formulated thus is called critical recension. However, an element of personal attitude of the editor acting, the interpretation cannot be ruled out. It is because of this that an editor is required to place all his material before the scholars. Next, we have emendation. Emendation, the editor may come across a point where none of the readings may satisfy him as having been composed by the author, or the evidence may not be adequate enough to arrive at a conclusion. This difficulty is not peculiar to Codex Unisex, but may arise even if there be many several topics or copies. If none of the variants is meaningful in a context or is grammatically incorrect or does not satisfy the material and other contextual requirements, the editor may effect an emendation. He may suggest a reading which is more plausible so that the text presented may be understood properly and easily. However, one has to exercise utmost discretion while resorting to emendation. Now, I was talking about the lower criticism. So earlier I've told that there are two types of criticism, that is the lower criticism and the higher criticism. Now, coming to the higher criticism, this aspect is not directly connected with the selection of reading but concern itself with the text and its content as a whole. Because the sources of the author and his influences are probed and not mere genuineness of a particular text, it is called higher criticism. In fact, higher criticism cannot strictly be spoken of as a stage, for this aspect of study begins along with the selection of the text for editing. It continues during the course of the editorial work as well. It even forms the basis for the entire editorial process. Its completion follows the finalization of the recension. From this point of view, it may be considered as the fourth stage. Low criticism involves much of the mechanical work, recording, comparing, collation, and so on. Higher criticism rises above. It is an assessment of the author's work, the style, the language, the literary aspects, the sources of the work, the life of the author and his equipment, the circumstances that made an author compose the work, the situation in which the work might have been written, the author's influence or later writers, the contribution of the author to the field concerned, thereby determining the place and the value of the work on hand, leading to its popularity or otherwise. All these as well as other allied issues fall under this category. Obviously, tackling these questions requires critical acumen, a keen sense of appreciation, and a thorough grasp of the history of the particular branch of learning, in addition to a good understanding of every line of the text. With all this equipment, the lower criticism too will be smooth and will have optimum results. Higher criticism did not necessarily follow the editing of a work. Any person can independently take up the study on these lines of a work in print. This aspect is considered here because an editor of a critical edition of a work will be in a better position as he will be done close study of the text, enabling him to critical appraisal easily. Now, what are the causes of the errors in the higher criticism or lower criticism? Generally, author does not make several copies of his own work. He may give some money to the scribe and tell to copy the work he has written, and the scribe starts copying. Even scholars may copy. During the copying from the original source, they occur errors. Even the most reliable scribe sometimes notes his copy will differ from the exemplar in is so far as a line here or a line that is concerned. This difference grows inversely to the scribe's grade of fidelity. It is also depends on to an extent on the distance of the copy from the archetype and the popularity of the work. Greater the distance, greater the possibility of disgrace. However, it must be accepted that the scribes may not be responsible for all the variants. It is possible that the author may have revised their work after some time. We have broadly divided the four major types of error, whatever may be causes. First, the deletion, second, the addition, third, the substitution, and the fourth, that is orthographic confusion. So, and we can tell as transposition. So deletion or omission. What do you mean by deletion or omission? This is mostly a mechanical error generally. No scribe voluntarily omits any word or passage. There are deliberate omissions, but they are mostly restricted to works like Puranas where skepticism view find a place among the content, which are by and large miscellaneous. Next, we have the second one, addition. It can be seen additions in a text from a letter to a whole chapter. Such additions may occur not only accidentally or mechanically, but also voluntarily or deliberately. The intentional insertions are termed interpolation. This term usually has a derogatory sense or meddling with the text. Such interpolation will have to be undetectable. Next, we have substitution. So, in substitution is mostly an intentional error. The intention may be wanton, that is, substitution for which there can be no valid explanation. Fourth, we have orthographic confusion. So, in this, with a copyist convergent with one script and familiar with another, copies from either to them to the other, the scribe is liable to commit certain errors. So this was all about the textual error, or we can say the higher criticism or the lower criticism, and what types of error can be done over it. Next, thank you.